documents. This is a fairly important one. Most documents appear on the subject pages that they're related to, and so initially I was listing all the documents that we ran across related to history here, but it turned out that gets to be too large a list, and so some of the general ones we'll put on here. But the other way you find documents is at the bottom of each subject page. There's a references section where we will list documents that are related to that subject. Some of the things that be aware of here, there's stuff related to the Historical Society. We have a list of books, and I'm gradually adding to this. I'm trying to find the major history books and at least identify them here. And then what I do is I try to create an information page for each book. And so if you click on that, the idea is it will tell you something about the book, where you can find it or access it, front and back cover, table of contents. The reason this is valuable is if you do a Google search, which our stuff gets picked up on Google and Bing and those search engines fairly quickly. If you look for a subject, you may find it here in the table of contents. It'll bring you into this subject page, and then you can see the book where you can go to find it. The other thing that I try to do is I've tried to contact people who have done books, and at some point, typically when you first do a book, you have to sell it to make the money. Sometimes you want to keep making money. Sometimes you just wanted to pay your expenses. I'm trying to find the people who just wanted to pay their expenses, but then would like to have the book available and get them to give me the rights to put it up on the website. And we probably have somewhere between 1 and 2 dozen full books that are on here now that are of interest. So, for example, then if you go to an information page, like here's one that Dick Kohler did. It has the pages, it has a table of contents, but on availability, it tells you where you can buy it, maybe at the libraries where it is, but also they'll say that an electronic of this book is available, and just click here, and it will bring up the book, and you can read the entire book. Depending on how large it is and how fast your computer is, it may take a while to load.
Does it allow you to download those books?
Yep, they're PDFs usually, so you can't download them. Okay, going on. Oh, and documents. Well, we're still on documents. So you got the books. A couple of things of interest on there. Let's go down to telephone books. This is people have found this really interesting. We have the 41. Let's see, what is it? We have the 1941, 54, 58, 61, and 72 telephone books for Washington County. That was about the time when the population was exploding, so I don't have the more recent ones. But these can be really interesting because they can give you information on, if you're looking up somebody, want to find out where they lived, what their phone number was. There are also some ads in here that are fairly interesting. But I reference this one fairly often. If anybody finds other phone books that we can copy and put up, I would love to have some more of them, but these are the ones that I've run across so far.
Are these OCR, so if you do a search, you'll find a name in there?
No, in general they're not, because what's happened is I've gone through and, well, most of them I found up at the Utah State Archives. I just took a camera and photographed them, and that's why the pages you'll find on some of these. Let's go to the 1941. You can tell I've just taken a picture and tried to get it readable, but haven't done any.
Yeah, many of these are on the class I taught 2 weeks ago here on directories.
Yeah.
There's bunches of these that are online.
Right.
And they are searchable.
Okay, yeah, and what I would like to do, I made a note of that, and I was going to go back and do it. My problem is I'm getting data in faster than I can deal with it. But I'd love to have somebody who is interested enough in any one of these subjects to say, hey, let me help with that subject, and go look up those books and the ones for our county, let me know the links, and I can add them on the site.
Yeah, or run OCR on these things so that your PDF is searchable.
Again, I would love to do that if somebody would like to.
Yeah,
I just don't have time myself. Basically, I work full-time and have been for about 10 years on this thing, so, and now stuff is coming in very, very fast, so I'm getting a backlog that I can't keep up with. But we do what we can. It's going to go, if we go beyond books now, down to articles. Again, more and more of the articles don't appear here anymore. They're on the subject pages, but there are a couple of interesting ones. For example, the Juanita Brooks lectures. You can go here and go to, whoops, oh, that brings up another subject, a painful subject. Broken links. There we go. Here's one where we can actually get it. One of the bane of my existence has been linking to other websites. When I don't have permission to put something on the website, then I have to link to somebody else's website. And I want to do that because I'd like to have the information available and have a way to find it. The problem with that is that the websites, and even the ones that they say are going to be there permanently, typically aren't. And so I've got literally thousands of links that are broken that don't go anywhere anymore. And I've tried to make deals with like some of the universities to say, hey, let me put your stuff up. And they're really reluctant to have me do that. And they said, but we aren't going to change ours. And so far, everyone that I've gone to, the State Historical Society, SUU, and Dixie, they've all broken the links in the years I've been doing this. So anyway, one thing I do, if you find something on here and there's a broken link, in recent years what I've been trying to do is when I find something, if there's like an article or whatever, if I have to, I will link to the other website, but I'll also burn off a copy that I keep in my file. So while I can't put it up, I may have it in my files. So if there's something you really desperately want, get a hold of me and we'll see if we've got it or can find it. But anyway, the idea was all of the
Where do you keep the hard copies of some of this stuff?
oh, yeah, I don't do any hard copies. I only electronic. So what happens is if I can get people to give me stuff, and I'd like them to do that, give them to me rather than going directly to the library. If you give it to me first, I'll make a digital copy, and then the paper I pass on to the to the archives. So, in some cases I've had objects donated, in which case what we'll do is find a museum that wants those. We've done that on several occasions. I get a lot of documents that I've been able to scan and then pass on to the archives over at Dixie.
Is that where all the photos are and stuff like that?
Physical photos, a lot of them are, yeah. Yeah, again, if somebody gives me a physical photo, sometimes they'll give it to me, let me scan it, and they want it back, and that's fine. And if they don't want it, then what I'll do is scan it and give it to the Dixie and let them deal with it.
Are these PDFs of these, or are they, those are scanned, or is this just just a flyer about lecture?
These are now, I do have PDFs of all of them because I burned them off when I've got access. Yeah, but they're not, these ones are links to the Dixie Library, which is what they wanted. They didn't want me putting them up. So, what happens is if there's a broken link, sometimes I'll put it up working under the thing that forgiveness is easier than permission. But anyway, my first preference is I'd like to get it and put it on the website directly, and I'll do that if I can. Another one that's similar to this is if we go down here to collections, periodicals, Utah Historical Quarterly, which is an absolutely marvelous collection of things going back into the back to 1928. I have a list of all of these. I add to the list. I normally only get around to it once every year or so, every year and a half. So we're always running a couple of issues behind. And in some cases, like here, the last time I looked, these ones were not online yet. I probably have a copy I've gotten from somewhere. But most of these, you can just click on a particular issue, and it'll take you to the state archives where they have the issue on there, and you can read them. That's a very valuable resource. Okay, going back to our left sides again. So we got documents, I got a collection of maps. These are organized by United States, Southwest, Utah, Washington County, and so on. And some of these are links whenever possible. I've got them on the website itself. Some of them are better than others. We're gradually improving that list over time. Geographical index. If you've heard terms like Beaver Dam Wash or Bull Mountain or whatever, again, I haven't spent a lot of time on this, but I've tried to identify these things. So, you know, if you heard Fort Clara, take you to the web page for that. And,
Does that have Upper Kanab on it?
I don't think so, however.
Because I found that in the Rasmussen's letters where they talk about
Yeah.
Upper Kanab. I found out it's is it Alton? It's clear up
Yeah.
further, you know,
Oh.
another 50 miles north.
Yeah, one thing is I've tried to bound myself to Washington County, so I don't have the stuff from Kanab. The reason for that is I've got more than we can deal with. Now, sometimes I just haven't been able to help myself. So I've got quite a bit of stuff on the Arizona Strip and a little bit down into Nevada. But the idea is that, you know, I'll stick to Washington County if I can. So sometimes we have a little bit, sometimes like, oh, I should mention one of the philosophies is when I first proposed this, Doug Alder and some of the professional historians said, hey, you know, make sure when you've got it on there, you know that you've got it correct and stuff. Let's not go putting false information up there. And I made the case that, hey, if I do that, I'm never going to have very much on here because, you know, I may get a book or two over my lifetime, but that'll be it. And so I said, what we're going to do is every time I hear a subject, I will create a page for it. And then I may do a quick scan to see what I can find for it, but I'm not going to really do a lot of research on it. And then as people give me information, we'll have a place to add that information. So over time, it'll evolve and get better. And people will come back and say, hey, no, that's not correct, and so we'll correct it. And so that's the way we've evolved to where we are. You'll go to some pages that have just a little bit of information on them. You'll go to others that are fairly complete and have, you know, everything you'd like. And I'll give some examples of that when we start looking at our examples.
So I take from that that you're assuming the boundaries of Washington County are after the state of Utah was
Yeah,
formed.
that's a fuzzy, but yeah. Because, yeah, if you go back to the original Washington County, that went from California, Sierra Madre, over to the Rockies in Colorado.
Well, yeah, and then it was bounded where Pioche and Anacacali and all that.
Right.
And what's Beaver Dam?
Yeah.
That was all part of Washington
Yeah.
County.
Again, none of this is religious, so, you know, I've been known to go beyond things when I couldn't resist. But and if somebody shows a real interest, also I'll put something up.
I had somebody ask me about that, why, you know, was Beaver Dam history on here, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, it's typically current boundary.
Right. When we talk about Washington County here, I'll mention that's one of the things we would like to be able to tell us at a particular time where was Washington County.
There happen to be a reference on the website now about the old boundaries she just referred to.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I'll try to
In the
show you that.
maps, I think I noticed that you had some of the older maps.
Right. Okay, photos, this is a fairly important section. There's basically two parts to it. One is the non-WCHS photos, so there's various photo collections there, and I've tried to identify those. I wish I had all their photos, but they won't give them to me, so you can go look for them there. The one that is fairly useful is when people contribute a photo to us, give us non-exclusive rights to use it. Then what I do is for each of those photos, I give it a sequential number and a description of it. And let me give you two examples here. Here was one, I don't know if some of you old timers may remember, there was an A&W root beer stand over on the West End. And I just happened to be passing through town one time. This is me back in 1956. Well, the general structure, though, is for every photo that's contributed to us in that way, we create a web page. We have the photo. We have everything that's known about the photo, what it is, who took it. If there's something, there's a subject in there of interest, then you can link back to that subject. Which brings up one other thing I should mention, and that is you'll notice that most of the text here is black text. That means this is just straight text. If it's blue, which is a little hard to see on the blue background, but if you're not colorblind like I am, it's not too bad. That's a link to a different web page. And if you move the cursor over it, it turns red, which makes it even easier to find. But another way of finding stuff, in addition to going by category or by subject or whatever, is if you're on a web page, there are cross links between the different web pages, and that'll become really important later on when we talk about people, and I'll show you that. Some of the photographs are fairly new photographs, but things that people are going to want to know about someday. Some are old. This was one that I really liked. A guy that was best man at my wedding down in California, grew up here where the college is now. He had a dairy farm. This was him at the time. He's my age now. He just passed away. This was a birthday party when they were filming The Conqueror. Susan Hayward was one of the stars. That's her here. Dick Powell was another one. Susan had her 2 boys with her, and they had this big sheet cake for her. They took John Wayne's big sword from The Conqueror, and she used that to cut the sheet cake. And so we have that, and then here's the story about it. So we know I've identified some of those people in there. Steve gave me his memories of what it was like when this happened, and we can go back on that later. But so anyway, that's photos. Okay, we have audio. There's a number of recordings that have been made of lectures and things like that. You can go down here and listen to those. That is, if it's not a broken link. Okay, what did I do here? We have videos. Again, normally I don't put the video on the website because it takes a lot of space. So if we can get it put up on YouTube or somewhere like that, Mike, when he does our videos, and he's videoed a number of different lectures and things, he'll put it up on YouTube, and then we'll put a link to that. But then you can go to the there, and here's one on Temple Dressed in White. It's a history document.
And the materials needed in order to make the mill run. Now it's interesting.
Anyway, it's a documentary on the St. George Temple and its development. Most of the things, there's, all of these videos that DSU's done recently, we had all of those up, but they've pulled them off. So we're trying to get permission to put them back up again. So there'll be a lot of broken links in here. I've got things about laws and regulations, genealogy. This is one I wish somebody who was really interested in genealogy would get in here and clean this up. What happens is I just throw, every time I find a link that looks like it would be interesting, I throw it on here and figure someday somebody will sort through them and straighten it out. The one I did want to point out here is Don Snow mentioned that he was giving these classes here. So if you click on that one, this is the classes that are coming up, the classes that he's given, and all of these, you can go back and click on them and find all his notes on those subjects. Extremely valuable. He's covered all kinds of different things that you can do on the web to get information. So I strongly recommend that.
If any of you are interested in attending, we meet right here on a week from today. Will be the next one, and there's no charge. And the links are online now. We'll be talking about sound in family history. How do you convert old digital or analog recordings from cassettes or reel-to-reel, even phonograph records, and how can you record stuff now, and et cetera. That's a week from today. If you want to be on my email list, on there and also on those notes, there's old notes there on the table. Help yourself to any of those before you go. My email address is on there. Just send me a note, and I will add you to my email list and send you the reminders and the schedule.
Yeah.
George attends, and Steve does, and others.
They've been really interesting, covering a variety of subjects. Current projects, this one really hasn't been used much recently. We were trying to identify all the different historical restoration projects that were going on. Also, we tried to list volunteering opportunities and people who were available to volunteer on various subjects and stuff. That hasn't been used much. If you want to find information about the Washington County Historical Society, a list of our members and so on, how to contact us. This one I should mention, there's a number of different ways to contact us. If you want to get a hold of the president or treasurer, secretary, or just general information, we have email addresses. We do have a distribution list, which we have about 185 people on it now, where we put announcements of things that are going on, sometimes discussions of particular subjects. It's a monitored list, so what happens is when somebody sends to distribution intending it to go to all 185 people, I intercept it, check it, make sure it's not spam and related, and sometimes there's Me Too messages and stuff, and I'll delete those or whatever, so you don't get any spam, but it is a good way to get information. And it varies from, a couple of messages a week to sometimes, a handful of messages a week. We do have Facebook pages. We really haven't done too much with that. Or you can also use a form to leave a text message, similar to what you do for a page feedback. All right, then the next category is histories, and these are where we have different subject areas. If you know there's something you're interested in getting into, like Washington County, this talks about stuff just about Washington County population, references to documents that talk about it. There's a section in there on the changes in the boundaries that we've had over the years. It's not as complete as I would like to see it. I'm hoping one of our experts will get in and deal with that at some point. Cities and towns, we have a list of these. Again, a lot of them don't have too much information, but some of them have pretty good information. So, pick a town. We try to describe where it is, some of its history, statistics, sites, pages. Each page is custom, so it may be a little different, but there's a lot of good information on here. And I've tried to do that for each town or community, and how we define town or community is not well defined. But probably you can find the one you're looking for on here. Artifacts, I'm trying to collect artifacts there, and this would be things like, probably one of the early ones, that was still one of my favorites, is Mormon puzzles, hobbles. I don't know if you've ever heard of these or not.
Yes.
Back in the old days, they developed this type of hobble that they could put around their cattle, and it had a chain that hooked them together so that the cattle couldn't wander very far. And part of the reason they did that is the Indians weren't able to figure out how to unhook the hobbles. For the pioneers, it was pretty easy to do. But so anyway, there's some history of that here. And other artifacts, you can see we don't have too much, but different things that might be of interest.
Where do you keep those? Where do you keep your artifacts?
They are all, I don't keep anything physical, so these are all in museums or elsewhere. I can't hear you.
Do they go to Dixie State
or? No, generally if I get an artifact, they'd go to the museum. So I check with you guys or check with Hurricane or whoever. Yeah, whoever wants to take care of it. So, electronics, I want everything that I can get electronic. Documents, those generally will go to the archives at Dixie State. Physical things should go to the museums, whoever there is willing to take them. However, I'd like to get a photograph first before I pass them on. Well, one of the things I've been thinking about doing, what I'd really like to do for the museums, I don't know if we can ever work this out or not, but what I would love to do is for each museum have a photograph of each of their artifacts with a little bit of information about it, and then where you can go to actually see the actual artifacts, so pointing out the museum and so on. I don't know if I have any of those in here yet, but
Well, we're working on, the one here. We're working on that actual, and making a digital file, so.
yeah, that would be
We should
cool.
talk because we're about to finish that.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking, you used to have those articles that you put in the newspaper that highlighted an artifact. It'd be nice to be able to have a collection of all of those. Okay, arts and entertainment. This we probably won't spend too much time on. We try to list the various festivals, theaters, various forms of entertainment, soapbox derby, anything like that. And there is some interesting stuff that we've done recently. Washington County Fair and the Dixie Roundup. We've gotten quite a bit of information, including some of their old brochures dating back into the 40s and 50s, which are actually pretty interesting. Aviation, mainly because I like flying. So actually our most popular single web page on the whole site from people all over the country is this navigation arrows that you may know about. These were navigation arrows that were put up back in the 1920s to help guide pilots as they were following routes across the country. And we have actually 4 of them that we found here in the county. And so we have information about all of those. I've got a section on aviation accidents, various other things. All of the airports, each airport has its own page. How are we doing on time? Oh, this is not, okay, let me speed over this. Awards, you don't need to worry about. Okay, section if you're interested in a particular building. We have a long list of those. Similar for businesses. There's categories of businesses which have their own pages, and then individual businesses like that A&W Root Beer. Because of history, I sometimes have those mixed up where, a business is tied to a building, so sometimes it may appear under the building or sometimes it may appear under the business. Eventually I'll probably, well, not in my lifetime, but eventually somebody will sort that out. CCC, I have a list of all the CCC camps that we know about. Now this is the major camps, not the little short-term camps that they had. But if there's one that's of interest, like, let me just show you one thing out of the St. George CCC camp. This was the one St. George CCC camp. What my brother and I did is we went back to try to find out where this photograph was taken. And we were able to find within about, we're guessing about 5 feet of each other, these photographs of then and now were taken. This is where Sunstone is now, and the Elks Lodge and so on. This is what it used to look like back in 1939. One thing that was interesting, I noticed the first time I saw this then and now photo was when we did this one. I've noticed that the newspapers now, in fact, they published this, and then they've done their own then and now series, so you'll see those popping up all over the place. Cemeteries, we have a list of all the known cemeteries. I'd like to get individual miscellaneous burial places, but we really haven't done anything on that yet.
Washington City for me. There was a big flood there. I'd like to know about it. Does anybody?
I don't think we have any information on that, but let's see.
There it is, around 19. You don't have any.
Oh, there we, okay, flood. Yeah, I don't have any information, but I would gladly welcome it if somebody wants to provide that. Churches, same kind of thing. List of all the churches that I know about up until 60s or 70s, around in there. Again,
Do you have a link to those interviews that are posted on the website about, not on your, but I've forgotten where they are, but they're listed in my notes, of all the interviews that were done during the Depression era of the early people that remembered and talked about what was going on here before even the dedication of the temple that they remembered. Do you know what I'm talking about?
no, I'm not familiar with that. We definitely don't have it, but if we could get the link, it should be on here.
There are links in my notes online,
Okay.
so we'll have to talk
Yeah.
sometime and show you where those are. I can't remember,
Right.
but they're on, well, we'll show you.
Okay.
They're wonderful interviews.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that we'd like to have, and this is the way we'd like to find it. If somebody knows about something, let us know and we'll put it on there. And that's the way this thing evolves and grows. Food, various subjects there. Homes. Okay, homes is a really big one. We list homes, trying to document all these ones before they get torn down, which is happening faster than I like to admit. Also, we sort them by city. Now, this is sort of a long list, and when we give a name to a home, there may have been a number of different people in the home. So what we do is try to pick the primary name, the one that people that own, either built it or lived in it the longest or whatever. And I can sort by city. If you want to find an address, and this is true on any web page here, the thing you really need to know how to do is do a Control F. Does that show up there? Up in there. So, here. Yeah, up here. And so, for example, you could say, find everything that's on 300 East. And what happened? I misspelled it. So let me try again. Oh yeah. So there's seven places where 300 South appears. So you can space down, see if you can find the one you're looking for. That's true on any of these pages. If you go to the subject page and you don't want to space down, do a find for the subject title, and we should find it even on a very large page.
So that search is local to that page, is that right?
Say again?
Control F is a local search just for the page?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But couldn't you search for 300 South on, with a site search?
Yeah, you could do the Google, Google search, and that would find it anywhere on the site. Yeah. So there's all these different tools. One of the things I hope to get across today is that there are all these different ways of finding what you're looking for. Libraries, list the libraries that we've had here in the county. Most of you are familiar with the Old Carnegie Library and so on. Medicine, books and documents and things about medicine. We also have a list on doctors, some of the old doctors, the hospitals. You're probably familiar with some of the old hospitals we've had here.
Did you get the digital copy for that last history of the of medicine or hospitals, Washington County, that they put out for the new
Yeah, I believe that.
dedication?
I believe that one is on here. Let's see here. That's this hospital centennial, 100 years of caring. There's an information page, and you can actually click there to download it.
So they just, I think.
Is there a new one just
6 months
recently?
To 2013, because they just did another one.
That was the 100-year one?
Yeah, this was the one when they first opened up.
That's
There's
2013.
another one down there that says 100 years.
Mhm.
Where am I? Let's see here. Back again.
You probably have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary Krista did it.
Yeah, I contact her every year. They put out a, excuse me, they put out a directory every year of all their doctors, and I have all of those dating back to 2011 on here. So if you want to see what the changes have been, or who's the latest doctors, or who used to be here that's not anymore, those are all available. Medicine, we have a list of motels that have been here, parks, people I want to come back to that we'll spend a lot of time on. Roads and trails is another one that has a lot of good stuff on it. I'd include bridges, tunnels, and stuff there. Schools, that's one that we need to come back on. And water resources. This will be rivers, lakes, dams, and so on, and documents related to those. And then the final section is miscellaneous, where if I don't have another category, we put it here. And there's a lot of really interesting stuff here. Escalante oil well explosion, I don't know if you guys remember that. 1935,
That's a bit before my time.
they were drilling for oil, they expected a gusher, started dropping an explosive down the tube to try to loosen up the oil, and it exploded above ground, and that's what happened. A bunch of people were killed. This is one of those pages for related pages. You can go to petroleum, or this is a list of casualties, people who were killed and what happened there. Okay, that's having used up most of our time. We'll go a little longer. If you need to leave, feel free. Let's take a look at a couple of subject areas. A couple I wanted to highlight. One is schools. I've tried to list of all the old schools and haven't kept up with the recent ones. But this gave a good example of the way this works. When they had the original Woodward School, and then they had the St. George, was it Dixie, whatever the elementary school was. In 1955, they split into an East and West Elementary School. And when I heard about that, I set up a page for East Elementary and a page for West Elementary, but nothing on it. Well, not too long after that, I got an email from this lady and said, I was an assistant principal, and it was my job to collect all of their documents and photographs. Would you be interested? And when I picked up my job off the floor, I fired right back and said, you betcha. And she brought up 2 CDs full of photographs and class photographs and newspaper articles and stuff for West Elementary. And so what we did is I set up a page, whoops, that's Washington School, set up a page for West Elementary and have some history on it that we were able to get off, pictures of it. This was just before it was torn down. There's a lot of pictures of that. Some of her old pictures that she gave me. Leanne Parkinson was her name. I've just seen some other things from her recently. But then the thing that was really interesting about that is, we started collecting photographs. So for example, we have a section for all the principals that they've had with some biographies of them. We have staff pictures. This is a list of the staff that I started to do, never got very far on. But we have a lot of photographs of staff. And there's many, many of these. Let's see how many. So that's all our staff photographs.
West Elementary, 1986.
What was that again?
I was in 2nd grade that year. At that
Do you
school,
remember-
and I wondered if
Do you
my
remember who your
teacher
teacher was?
is in one of those pictures.
Okay, what year were you there? Notice we have a section on classes. What year were you there?
1986.
Oh, I probably have it, but I petered out about 1971, so I have several hundred more of these photos to put up. But these are all ones that I have photos for, but they're not up yet.
I had to send you all my pictures. I didn't realize that West Elementary that's when I went into kindergarten.
Oh, really?
I have some pictures, it snowed really hard that year. And I was standing in front of the school just like a, Gumpy. I was bundled up to, I could see my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to
But I
get.
thought it'd been there forever before me.
I'd love to get any pictures. If we get any more volunteers who want to help organize these and put them up, I'll do it. Yeah, I do. And all of this, I've gotten help on getting these as far as we did. So what you can do is, for the years that we've done it, and this was the intent, was to continue on for the rest of the years, you can pick a teacher, class, and
That might
look
be
at their
her right
class.
there. The one you just highlighted, Slack, Mrs. Slack was her name.
Yeah.
And you just highlighted on Beatrice Slack. That could be her, even though you're in a different year.
Looks like a guy.
She's probably standing on
Oh.
the side you can't see.
Oh,
Yeah.
That look
That
familiar?
resembles her, how she looked at 86, but,
Like 10 years younger.
yeah.
Now, what happened is, so I did this for West Elementary and got so far before I got distracted on other things. A few years back, they were closing East Elementary, and so Laurie Jones and a couple of teachers that had taught there said, hey, could you do that for East Elementary? And so they formed a committee, got all of their pictures together, and we did the same thing for East Elementary, but had even more stuff. Let's see here.
I should look at my
So again, same thing, classes, and we have these. Now what happened on here, what we've been trying to do is, after we got these pictures up, I got contacted by a couple of people that were in the class. Let's see, that, not on that one. What number did I find that in?
Oh, where's,
2405, okay.
Yeah, he was my fifth grade teacher.
I'm looking for a 2405. I know, went to a search. Good. Take a look at that picture. What happened is people got together with some of their old classmates and we tried to identify each person. So again, that's the advantage of having a photo page for each photo that we're contributed to. We can add more information as it becomes available. And so these names were added well after the fact, and we're continually upgrading them as we get more information. Before we go, let's start talking about people, because this is one of the things that most people are interested in. We've tried to collect people of historical interest, and basically the way that goes is if somebody gets interested and sends me something, or they ask about them or whatever, we set up a web page for them and gradually add information. So what happens is when, let's go to a couple of, when I started going to Don's classes here, it was a snow, and so we took a look at Erastus Snow, who was one of his ancestors. And I did have a basic page on him. I had some bad information. I thought he had a middle name that I'd seen in print several places. And so he gave me the feedback and said, no, no middle name. So we went back and corrected that. Typically what I do for people is we set up a picture of them, title, then we have a biographical information, which may be a little or a lot. And then we have their family, where we have the person's parents and siblings, and then spouses and children, maybe one or maybe more. And then photos that we collect. Sometimes there'll be photos that have been contributed, like this one. Let's see, this was given to us by Heber and Louis Jones, and they took it out of a college yearbook. And then any sometimes photos on the web. I hate those, but I'll do it. And then documents. Don has just said we could put his book on Erastus Snow up on the web, so we'll be doing that. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is you notice the, let's see, who was it that led to your?
Erastus Beeman.
Oh, Beeman,
Oh,
okay.
my grandfather.
So, from
From
Erastus
first wife.
Snow's first wife, Erastus Beeman was your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Grandfather. So by clicking on that, we now go to the Erastus Beeman Snow page, where we could go back to Erastus Snow by clicking there. And let's see. I'll bet your father's, is that your father there? I'll bet you.
Eldon Snow is my dad.
Okay, so that's your dad. And we don't go down below that
Yeah,
level.
Eldon, he's on it, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that's cool about this is we set up a page for each family or person, and then we can have it, and then the idea is to try to link these people back and forth. So it may be a child, we can go to his detailed page, or it may be to their spouse, we can go to the family she came from, and so on. And we'll include things like where we got information, death certificates if we have it, birth certificates if we have it. But most people they didn't do birth certificates in those days. So that's people. Oh, another thing is, let me go to another one. Go to people, MacArthur. And there's a reason for doing this one. So if we go to Daniel MacArthur, who's played a big part in the history here, we have the same kind of information. However, you notice again on this one, we have related pages. There's only one, but we have a page for his home. So you can click on that, and that will take us to one of the home pages. And this shows the location. If he was listed in the telephone book, we show that, and you can actually look at the page where he was listed. A little bit of history. The owners of the home over time, in this case, we don't have very many of them. And then if you want to go back and find the biography of the person, you can click and get back there. This home was sort of interesting because it's a classic one for downtown. You have the home that was built, you have their barn and their outbuildings and the corral and all that, garden and all that stuff, all on this eighth of a city block.
Is that, any of that still standing? Probably.
That one is not. That one was torn down in the 1950s. In some cases,
For the West Elementary.
yeah, most of them have been, in some cases the homes are still standing, and we do have a very large number of homes listed.
Do you have the pictures of the big house?
Which one?
Erastus Snow, big house?
Yeah, I'm sure we do. Let's go to Snow. See what we have there. Erastus Snow, he had actually two homes here. There's one,
Yeah, that was
Would
on
have been,
Main Street and St. George Boulevard.
that was an original one.
One of
The big house, it was.
The big house,
the
yeah.
big house is on the corner of 100
Yeah, so let's see, let's go back to,
North in Maine.
so let's see, this is Erastus Snow house. Let's go back to Erastus Snow.
That was.
That's not the big
I-
house.
No, that's not the big house.
When I do the Erastus Snow
Just
part in St.
down
George
to-
Down
Drive,
go down two more. There you go.
Oh, okay, yeah, so I'm the big house out there.
yeah, when I do the Erastus Snow part in St. George Drive in the Tabernacle, I say, my home is just the next block up here. It's such a great property that someday they'll probably just tear it down and build a bank or something up there.
That's what they
They did.
So that's where that was at, was
Yeah,
on
right
the
where
River
Zion's
Boulevard
Bank
and Main?
is. Yeah.
I've got one of, I should send it to you, that is about 1930, where they had added the cafe to the
Oh.
north and the first service station,
Uh-huh.
which turned into.
I'd
the
love to get
stairs.
that. Yeah,
They,
that's the kind of thing we do. In addition, on homes, and there's lots of these homes that we have, there's a couple of interesting ranches. Some of you may know the Terry Ranch. It's out east of Enterprise. And you saw,
Terry Ranch?
I'll highlight some of the photos here, but then the ones that we don't have space for will be down here under collection. So you can pick up those homes. Okay, that's sort of the overview. Now, are there subjects that are of interest? Steve here? Yeah, Steve, you said?
I'm just curious, I can do it myself, but is there anything on
Bigelow?
Bigler? Henry Bigler. He wrote that, he 1849, he's part of the 49ers. Henry Bigler.
Yeah, there is Harry.
Henry William Bigelow.
Henry
Bigler,
William, that's it.
Not Bigelow.
Is that your answer?
Here's some of the
No,
documents.
it's one, there's a really historic site that is very important there
Gold mine.
in the county. I'm just curious if they got a picture of his signature in the upper east fork of the Beaver Dam Wash.
Let's see.
That's the one, 49, there it is. That's the signature, HWB, 1849. Yeah, that's the one. So there is there a, oh, go back, is there I bet there was no, I don't see the GPS. I thought I saw GPS, but
Oh, on that one? Yeah, that's the kind of thing I would like to collect, but I don't have it there.
this guy's gonna go find it for you.
Okay, good, yeah.
Now we know there's one online.
Yeah, and
I've been there once and I know how to get back to it.
yeah, so what happens is you're looking at this, and if you get the GPS coordinates, you click on page feedback, put the coordinates, and give me your name, and I'll update it and let you know what I did.
Okay, all right.
What a valuable website you've got.
What about other subjects? Are there other things, areas of interest? Yeah.
What software are you using to make the webpage?
I'm just hard coding it because when we started this out, I didn't know anything about it, and so I learned HTML first, and then I switched to PHP.
Then who's your server?
Server Point down out of Las Vegas. They're actually a national firm, but
And who's your primary resource for maps? Who provides you most of the map information? Is there one person or?
no.
No.
Basically, we just pick those up. Hopefully, people contributed them to me. They send to me and say either here's a link or here's a map. My preference is to have a map because then I'll put it up. If it's a link, then I have to decide whether I really have a right to put it up or not. And if not, I have to use that link, which will break fairly shortly. Somebody was saying that a quarter of all links on the website change every year. So, going 10 years, you can imagine what this is like.
Nothing's better.
It's a permanent volunteer job.
What?
It's a permanent volunteer job.
Yeah, it is. As I say, it's been 10 years, almost full time.
I know what that is.
We're gonna have to figure out how to clone you though, George.
Say that again. Let me turn on my hearing aid.
Clone you.
Yeah. Doug Alder said that I'm not allowed to die.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, that's it.
That's about it.
That's a good guy to have. That is.
Another thing of interest here, let's see, if we go to geography, this just occurred to me. We have various categories where you can find things about geography, but then this is places. So one of those things I couldn't resist is starting on the Arizona Strip. And if you wanted to find Page Ranch, which we've had a couple of field trips to, you'd have to come to this one.
Page Ranch isn't on the Arizona Strip. It's in Iron County.
Yeah, which is why you're right, yeah. I want other geography.
Have you got a link on here to that mica mine over there? We always take our grandkids over there to
Near my
chip out some of the mica.
There we go. Page Ranch. So here's,
We call it the mica mine, that's not what it is, but.
oh, yeah.
Gypsum, that's gypsum.
I have some information. I'm not sure if I put it up yet.
Page's Ranch.
It's Page Ranch. The thing that's really cool about this is the lady that was a descendant of these people and spent quite a bit of time raising money to re-roof it and do some other things to preserve it. Even though she doesn't own it, she cooperated with the owners. She wrote a very detailed book about it. And that book, she allowed us she made copies which got sold out almost immediately. Rather than reprinting it, she allowed us to put the book up here. It's called Sunlight and Shadow.
Do they have the fact that underneath it is a major den of rattlesnakes?
They didn't mention that.
Might be the case, I'm curious.
I remember being there once.
Oh.
Looks like some door has one.
Wow.
Anyway, very detailed book, and the whole thing is on here for your reading pleasure. There are other things like you were asking about signatures. If we go to is it your great-grandfather, grandfather David H.? He's great-grandfather. Angus, I mean, yeah. Let's see here. People. Okay, we go down to the canons. George Q., he's my great-grandfather. He never actually lived down here, but he came down on church assignments. David H. was his brother who spent his whole life here, and most of the canons around here related to him. And then his grandfather, Angus, was down here. He came down in the first group of settlers, and he was the first mayor of St. George. And then stayed around for, I don't know what, 10 years or something, and then health reasons went back to Salt Lake.
Allergies or something.
Yeah. Let's see if we got. Somebody contributed some letters back and forth between Angus and David.
I
Letters.
How do you scan these? Do you use your own scanner, or what kind of scanner, or what resolution and that sort of thing you use?
Yeah, I have my own scanner, which I do if it's a small thing or if it's somebody just stopping in or whatever. If it's a big document, I take it over to Dixie State and do it on their scanner over there. If I'm really lucky, the people that give me the documents will already have scanned it and give me the scanned copy. That saves me a whole lot of time.
And what resolution do you use for a say, PDF?
I don't
You
know.
scan it.
Whatever the default is, I've never paid much attention to that. Anyway, we do have some original documents like that, not a lot of them.
Do they
You have a whole bunch of letters, I think, that we reference out of,
Oh, the ones that we
Erastus.
transcribed that are on my website?
yeah.
Yeah, you got a link to all the.
I think we have a
Erastus
link to
family
that,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, good. What kind of a scanner do they have at Dixie State, and where is it?
They've actually got several of them. There's a really good one that's in the archives. You go back through the meeting room in the archives and back, there's a little side room. Has a bunch of electronic equipment, has their camera, and it has a couple of scanners and some other equipment.
Is it open to the public?
You have to make arrangements with them. You can't just go in, but if there's something to it.
More
Within the
about that,
library
isn't it?
part,
Yeah. What?
special collections.
Is it the special collections?
Yeah, special collections, and particularly which is my deal that I've never tried it any other way, but what I do is if I have something that's important, I'll go in, do it, get my copy, and then they keep it. So they're usually happy to let me in if they can do that.
Yeah.
Go to George Pechtel in the county, your people, George Pechtel. Just out of curiosity. I have some stuff, if you don't, I'll probably have to
Okay.
get it to you.
It's sort of fun when people have subjects to go see just how many we've already got started. PECH?
Pectol. There he is, George Pechtel.
Don't have a lot of information,
Oh, I
but
need to send you some stuff.
oh, yeah. See, here's one of those pages where sometime the subject came up and we were talking about it. So I set up an empty page and I'm waiting for him to come up and doing it right. Yeah.
Conversation you have with him.
It's my wife's third great grandfather, and I just finished a biography.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Most of you, if you have relatives in this area, you'll find that we have the people on here, and it's being, more being added, not every day, but close to every day. Other subjects of interest or things, questions about how to use the website?
So now, do you tie into the Utah Historical Society publications? You can go to your site and then go back
Yeah, the Utah Historical Quarterly.
quarterly.
Yeah, that you can click on it and it'll take it. I do have a copy just in case they ever take it away again. But I did make one transition. I took those off and put links to their current website and have them backed up on my own. Another thing I did, which I've got this long list. In fact, I don't know if I can show it. I have a very long wish list of things that I want to do or get other people to do. One of the things I did last summer is I went up to the State Historic Preservation Office, and they have 2 file drawers that are absolutely jam-packed full with folders of documents and pictures and stuff. And I spent 4 days up there in front of their copier machine, their scanner, scanning all those things. And I haven't had time to go through and sort them, but when I get those up, that'll give me hundreds more documents and photos here. There's also somebody up in New Harmony that he's actually not going to be around long, but he's collected a lot of photographs over the years, and I've gotten permission to use them, and I just have to get on the web and pick them off and organize them. There's all of these things that I need doing, but I don't have time to do it myself.
George, you said all of those 4 days you spent scanning photos were Washington County documents and photos that they have?
Right. Basically 2 file cabinet drawers, literally jammed as much as you could jam into them. In fact, a little spill over into the 3rd drawer. But really interesting stuff.
What a service you're doing for us.
What?
What a service you're doing for us.
Well, it's when I started this out by doing my own family history and then started gathering the stuff, and then I got interested in this. I've sort of forgotten my family. I do need to get back to that, but it was a way that, I figured I could sit around and watch TV in my retirement. I could do something useful, and this was interesting. I love organizing, so that's why I got into programming originally, and this is just more of the same.
James Harvey Heath up there too, by the way.
I don't think I have many here, but
He's an early resident of Washington. Heath.
No, I
You
don't.
have that.
I don't have
You
any.
can get that to you
Yep.
also.
On those Utah quarterlies,
yeah,
can you search those by name of an author or a?
yeah. Let's go back to that. So the way we get there, it would be, you can either use one of the search tools, or you can just go to Documents, and then go down to Utah Historical Quarterly. Okay. Yeah. Now this is the one where I have all of the issues listed, other than maybe the last couple, and where you should be able to click to their website. And then they have various search tools here and so on. However, there were also some other things which I haven't used recently. Let's see here.
There's a great article on the boundaries of Utah counties, but I don't know, can you do a general search for, over all of them, like Utah
Yeah, let's
county
see.
boundaries?
Here's some links that I haven't used, so they're probably dead by now, but
I mean, I can go find it, and it's
Yeah.
a really good article on boundaries.
well, let's see what kind of search there is here.
And it changes over time,
But,
and it changes the tape.
yeah, some of them, yeah.
I suspect this goes for just this one, but I'm sure they do have a general
Okay,
search.
That just does one at a time, but I was wondering if you could go in and do a subject search
Uh-huh.
for all of them. Like if you wanted
Yeah.
everything about Wilford Woodruff
Uh-huh.
that's been published in the Utah Historical Quarterly,
Yeah.
you might find 5 or 6 issues there.
Yeah, there probably is, and my intent when I did this section here was to put links to those kinds of things, but they're out of date now, and I haven't had time to go back. So if somebody finds something that's really useful like that, let me know, and I will put it in here.
What's in the Platt Library, just out of curiosity?
Oh, that was really interesting. Lyman Platt was our president here for a couple of years and was very involved when I got involved. So where did we have that?
It's down the bottom.
At the bottom.
Oh,
Right
okay.
there.
So what he did, if you've ever been in his basement was completely filled with documents and stuff. And so what I did is said, hey, we'll set up this library, and everything that you can provide us, we'll put it in here that's online. And he started to do that and got quite a number of different documents that he had. A couple of them, we had people complain because they were still alive and it had their personal information. We had to take them offline. But basically, I don't know what all else is in there, but there's a lot.
Do you have the Washington cotton mill, do you have that listed separately, or like making cloth in Dixie or something like that? The cotton mill?
Yeah, if you
Or,
go to
like I said, we're
buildings.
making cloth in Dixie,
Oh,
something like that.
I
don't know how
don't
it's listed.
think I have anything called, for the cotton mill, we go to buildings. And then
But
go
anything
to
about the history of what went on,
Washington. Okay, let me see, hang on one second first.
other than pictures.
County, anyway,
or
cotton
who
factory,
works there
okay.
or whatever, I think,
Yeah,
Tiffany has
so there's a little bit of history there,
Mhm.
and photos, and let's see what we have in
Those
documents.
pictures are over in the Washington Museum.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's anything here. What I would like to do is on businesses, let's see, how would we do this? If I go to businesses,
So it's,
I have done things like the cotton industry.
yeah, and that would be related to making cloth.
Oh, yeah, this is all I have on that. So that's one of those things we set up a category, but don't have anything there. But I have that for silk and for cotton, for beef, and
There's one on Silk Day, when cotton was king, it's just,
Just an
it's going.
article.
Yeah, but that'd be still be interesting.
There's
So by, oh yeah, what was the,
That was that cotton group,
Over the-
United Cotton Farm, Camp Lorenzo.
out behind the hill, right?
Yeah, it's over across the river.
Is it still there?
Just the remains of
I
it.
used to hike down there, but,
Yeah,
Oh, that's what that was on the,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
on the
think,
other side of the landfill.
right.
yeah, and
Okay.
wasn't
I
it a
always
boarding
wondered what that
place?
was.
What?
Wasn't it a boarding place?
I was going over and looked.
It
but
might
no,
have
I
been,
don't-
yeah, because that's what the building looks like.
Yeah.
I talked to the current landowner, or tried to. I actually have a whole crop of photos just from last summer on that site. And I can't remember who it was, George, but somebody told me that, and it may have been him, the owner, the current or neighboring landowner, that it was built originally and never used. So it's been left standing brand new, unused and unlived in
And
since it was
that's
built.
on this website, you'll find it on the
Is that on
website.
here
And
somewhere?
is that
Okay.
a factual
Yeah, that's
history?
what I
Because
thought.
when we used to hike out there, they told us how, some of the workers,
Yeah, you
cotton
got the
workers
history
lived
there,
there.
oh, to be determined.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of those.
George,
You'll find
you can't
almost,
die.
you'll find almost as many of those as there are broken links. There was another interesting thing. What's the name of the place?
TBD stand for what?
To be determined, or
Determined.
to be delivered, or to be determined, or whatever.
To be done.
It's an old.
To be done.
We used to do that in the aerospace industry a lot. Let's see, Babylon.
Oh,
I don't know if any of you know what that is, but there
Yeah.
used to be an old mill down there,
Is that an iron mill? Is that what it was?
silver.
Oh, so-
And then, let's see, Babylon Homes. Oh,
Blake, okay, that's it.
the old rock house. It's interesting.
yeah, the bad one.
So what you
Oh, wait,
can tell us how
that's
much more
different.
there is that could go on there, just by virtue of the conversation that's going on?
Yeah,
Well, we're hoping that with the DUP museum and with the
Oh.
WCHS records, that over time, we can start merging a lot more of those together and having a source rather than having two separate ones that, we have things that you don't have and you have a lot of things
Right,
that we don't
yeah.
have, and vice versa. And we never get to the point of combining those where it's easier to find the information. It's gonna be so helpful for everybody.
Yeah, Janine used to be the, I don't know what your title was, but the head honcho of DUP, and now she was just made secretary of the Washington County Historical Society, so we're looking forward to having her participation
So
here.
now I'm gonna get my fingers in some of this, and then we're gonna try and work together.
You're George's successor too?
No. I can't do hard coding.
Yeah, I'm not very good at
But he
that.
may teach me, right?
so one person I'm interested in you're looking up is Benjamin Frederick Blake.
Let's see what we have. If
I
I,
guess I could go look him up.
He's
well, let's see. Again, I'd love to go and see just if, what kind of coverage do we have.
Curious, just since we're here and doing this, I get an
Okay,
idea.
stop.
James G.
Benjamin Frederick
B-L-A.
Oh.
Blake,
B-L-A-K-E.
B-L-A-K-E, yeah.
Oh, no, I don't have him.
He's not there.
Well, my goodness.
Darn.
Should be.
Well, he's on the wall in the museum.
Well,
So
the-
do you have,
the-
do you
Send
have
him.
James Blake's journal by the way, James G's?
That's James G. We do have, yeah.
Okay, you have the biography, but do you have the actual journal that's there?
Well, let's see.
Special. There's his papers. See how they don't-
Oh, yeah, the Blake papers. Yeah, they're extraordinary.
Well, that's the foundation of all of our history right there.
Yes, it is.
The Blake papers.
Yeah,
And he was the recorder
Yeah, he was a recorder for somebody.
when they first came down here in
Yeah.
'61.
oops, yeah, well,
I did have it.
oops.
You blew up the internet.
I actually have a copy of the Blake papers. The journal.
So a lot of these things are in the special collection.
Yeah, right.
It's state. And
Yeah.
They need some are at the county library.
My first choice is to have a digital copy on the website. My second choice is to be able to link to a digital copy. My third choice, which you'll find a lot of here, is references to things where there's no link, but there's a reference to where there's a document or a book or whatever.
Well, in your search function, you say you have the Google and then your website, so you have a lot of options to
Right.
find things, which looks
Yeah.
nice.
There's a few things, well, there's a long list of things I'd like to do. One of the things is we have those 4,000 contributed photos, and I would like to be able to have somebody start and then be able to step through them rather than having to go back and click and back and click and back and click. For 4,000, that gets a little monotonous.
Well, 100 a day.
That's been suggested. I just don't know how to do it.
How fast?
You do that between 10 and midnight.
Too many things happening.
Anything else?
Could you outsource some of this to the prison workers?
Would you trust them?
Yeah, I don't know. We thought we might be able to get an Eagle project going here, but hasn't worked out so far.
It might, you know, I had an Eagle project, go and document all of the markers and monuments in Washington County. And, you know,
Yeah.
it was just-
Oh,
It'd be tougher
Let's say
now.
one more person.
With the scouts going away.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
The other question is, can you get Dixie College involved, or Dixie University involved with students who take one of these subjects as a?
yeah. The main problem that I have there is when they get students that are available, they've got stuff they want to do for them, and they're not really, you know,
Interested in?
yeah, they're not against what we're doing, but they really want to put their resources doing their stuff rather than
There's also
here.
a supervision issue. There has to be somebody available to help supervise, and especially if you get more than one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because it takes more time sometimes to explain what needs to be done than to actually do it
Yeah,
yourself.
to do it, yeah.
Yeah, that's been a problem that I've had
Three hundred
because
markers.
uh,
Okay, so that's the one.
I've one of the things that's been suggested is I should, instead of doing all this, I should be out recruiting people to do it. And my problem is I'm retired and I only do things I like to do, and I don't like working with people, and I do like organizing. So I'm having to leave that to somebody else. You mentioned markers. The intent was to have markers from all the different organizations
But you
with
have
links
the
to them.
link. You have a link to our markers and monuments. It shows it, all of them. So, see that list?
That one there.
That should show all of them.
Wow.
Does that come from the state database?
No, it's one.
This came off of their
This one
website.
they created with Boy Scout.
Well, the scouts went back and verified. It actually, DEP put it together many years ago, and then SUP had done, you know, consolidated. Then I had these Eagle Scouts go out and verify each one and take a photo of all of them.
Are there GPS coordinates?
No, but there's a write-up, so it's.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
And,
nice.
and if they have a write-up on the plaque, it will show, tell where it is, and know some description, so.
I don't have
So it's
to
by
look at it.
community, so you have some for each of the communities. It's like
Yeah.
100 and some pages on it.
And see, what I was trying to do is get basically combine all the marker collections from all these different organizations. I didn't get very far, but that might be one place we
I
can
found
look at
like,
stuff.
you know,
Yeah,
talking about these
right.
hidden documents, there was a cupboard at the museum with these papers just stuffed in there.
Mm-hmm.
And like nobody had a clue what they were, you know, and it was, they'd kept all these records on these monuments, but there's no updating, there's no
Mhm.
documentation, there's no making them available to anybody.
Mhm.
And I thought, what a loss, because we need to know, and then we have a little thing we call
Yeah.
a day trip of the DEP monuments, they can just go and visit 15 or 18 of them.
Yeah.
It's just something
We
else.
should know every monument in the county. We do have a list of every national thing that's on the National Register of Historic Places. We have all of those listed.
Yeah, and a lot of those will be there.
I think that,
Do you have a Jedediah Smith? You have a thing on him and the
I
stuff
should,
that's
but
been done on Jedediah Smith?
See,
There's a lot of stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
an expert on Jedediah Smith, but
if I don't have it, I know there's many times I've heard it come up and said, I'm going to put an empty page there, but,
Here he is.
there he is, Jedediah Smith.
oh, yeah, okay.
Because there's a really nice, yeah, that's the man. Leo Lyman's got a big thing on him. Yo, you got it. Yeah, that's good. You got a lecture, but do you have he has the biography that he's written.
Yeah, okay.
It's a fairly large biography.
Yeah, his stuff, he's still selling most of that, so I don't get those, but I would like to at least have a book page on it.